The Christmas tragedy of the Lawson family. In the winter of 1929, in the rural community of Germantown, North Carolina, the Lawson family was preparing for a special Christmas. The family, led by Charlie Lawson, had even posed for a rare family portrait, a luxury for a working-class family at that time. Christmas Day dawned with excitement. The Lawson family, consisting of Charlie, his wife Fanny, and their 7 children, were busy with festive preparations. Unbeknownst to the community, this day would turn into one of the most tragic in the annals of North Carolina's history. In a horrifying turn of events, Charlie Lawson, for reasons still debated by historians, took the lives of his wife and 6 of their children with a shotgun. The only survivor was his eldest son, Arthur, who had been sent on an errand. The devastating scene was discovered by neighbors and Arthur, who returned home to find his family gone in a senseless act. The authorities were called to the grim scene, but Charlie's motives remained a mystery. Investigators tried to piece together the motive behind Charlie Lawson's actions. Speculations ranged from financial stress to suspected family secrets. However, the true reason behind the massacre remained elusive. The funeral drew crowds from across the state, shocked by the magnitude of the tragedy. The Lawson family was laid to rest together, leaving behind a community struggling to make sense of the incomprehensible. The Covina Christmas Eve massacre, a night of unspeakable tragedy. Christmas Eve 2008 in Covina, a suburb of Los Angeles, epitomized the festive spirit. Families gathered, children eagerly awaited Santa, and the air was filled with joy and anticipation. But in this peaceful community, a devastating tragedy was about to unfold. The Ortega family, respected and loved within their community, were hosting their traditional Christmas Eve party. Generations came together under one roof, sharing stories, gifts, and the warmth of familial love. Bruce Pardo, the ex-husband of Sylvia Ortega, arrived uninvited, dressed as Santa Claus. His presence initially raised no suspicions. Hidden beneath his costume, however, were not gifts of joy, but weapons of destruction. The festive atmosphere turned to horror as Pardo, without a word, began shooting at the guests. Confusion and panic ensued as the sounds of gunfire replaced the Christmas carols. Pardo's calculated attack left no room for escape or mercy. In a cruel escalation, Pardo unleashed a homemade flamethrower, setting the house on fire. The blaze rapidly engulfed the home, trapping many inside. Desperate guests broke windows, trying to escape the inferno that their Christmas gathering had become. Firefighters and police officers arrived quickly, facing the dual challenge of extinguishing the fire and managing the crime scene. The fire revealed its grim toll: 9 lives lost, young and old, their Christmas joy extinguished in an instant. Police began piecing together the events. Pardo, after fleeing the scene, was found dead from self-inflicted injuries at his brother's home. His motives, tied to bitterness from his divorce and financial woes, painted a picture of a man who chose revenge over reconciliation. In the days following, Covina grappled with its loss. A community known for its safety and neighborliness was now united in grief. Vigils were held, and the community gathered in support, mourning the loss of friends, neighbors, and the sense of security they once knew. As time passed, the community sought healing. The tragedy of the Covina massacre was a harsh reminder of the fragility of life. But in the face of unspeakable pain, the people of Covina found strength in each other, vowing to rebuild the spirit of community that no act of violence could ever truly extinguish. 1 year later, Christmas Eve in Covina was marked not just by celebration, but by remembrance. The community, forever changed, stood together in honor of those lost, their legacy living on in acts of kindness, unity, and an enduring hope for peace. The unseen witness. In the heart of an old, sleepy town, where secrets lie deep and truths are seldom spoken, there occurred a crime that shook the very foundations of this close-knit community. The date was December 5, 1952, a winter's night so cold that it chilled to the bone. Margaret Holloway, a young librarian known for her gentle smile and love of literature, was found lifeless in her small, modest apartment. The door was locked from the inside, no signs of forced entry. The town was baffled. Who would harm such a soul, and more importantly, how? Among her few possessions, 2 items stood out: a blood-stained scarf and a locket with a picture too worn to identify. The local police were perplexed. The only clue was a series of cryptic diary entries, speaking of a mysterious admirer whom Margaret feared. As days turned to weeks, the case grew cold. Theories abounded: a jilted lover, a stranger from out of town, but nothing concrete. It was a chance rediscovery that broke the case wide open. A photograph previously overlooked held the key. In the background, barely noticeable, was a man, his gaze fixed on Margaret, intense and unsettling. This unseen witness was none other than Edward Langley, a reclusive figure in the town. Langley, known for his solitary ways and unrequited obsessions, became the prime suspect. When confronted, he confessed to a crime driven by unreciprocated love and a descent into madness. His fixation on Margaret, unknown to her, had sealed her tragic fate. The case of Margaret Holloway remains a harrowing reminder of the unseen dangers that can lurk in the shadows of ordinary lives. It revealed the depths of human obsession and the tragic consequences of love turned to poison. In the quiet town, life moved on, but the echo of Margaret's story whispered in the streets, a ghostly reminder of the night when love turned deadly, and the truth lay hidden in the eyes of an unseen witness. The Ashland Christmas tragedy, echoes of a Victorian nightmare. In the winter of 1881, the small town of Ashland, nestled in the rolling hills of Kentucky, was a community brimming with the simple joys of rural life. Yet, as Christmas approached, a shadow darker than any winter night was about to descend upon this tranquil town. December 24th began like any other Christmas Eve, filled with the hustle and bustle of last-minute preparations. In the Gibbons household, a gathering was underway, one that represented the innocence and camaraderie typical of the season. Emma Carrico, a friend of the Gibbons family, joined siblings Robert and Fanny for what was to be a night of laughter and cherished memories. None could foresee the horror that would unfold as the night progressed. When dawn broke on Christmas Day, the light revealed a scene so gruesome that it shook the very soul of Ashland. The three young friends had been brutally murdered, their lives extinguished by an act of barbaric violence. The Gibbons home, once a symbol of familial warmth, had become a crime scene of unspeakable horror. The local authorities, confronted with a crime of such magnitude, faced not only the challenge of a complex investigation, but the weight of a grieving community's demand for justice. The town was rife with fear, suspicion, and an overwhelming sense of loss. Suspicion soon fell upon three local men, George Ellis, William Neal, and Ellis Craft. Each had ties to the community, and their apprehension cast a further shadow over Ashland. The evidence, including a confession from Ellis, pointed towards a chilling conclusion of robbery and personal vendettas turned deadly. The trial that ensued was a spectacle of raw emotion and societal tension. The courtroom became a cauldron of anger, grief, and a desperate need for closure. Witness testimonies and evidence painted a grim picture of the events leading to that fateful night. Yet, amidst the pursuit of justice, questions emerged. Was the confession coerced? Were prejudices and the overwhelming desire for retribution clouding the truth? The convictions of Ellis, Neal, and Craft did little to quell the undercurrent of doubt and unease that had settled over Ashland. In the aftermath, the community of Ashland sought solace in unity. The tragedy had ripped through the heart of their town, leaving a legacy of sorrow and a Christmas forever tainted by tragedy. The echoes of the victims' lives, cut short in such a brutal manner, resonated in the collective memory of the town. Decades have passed since that fateful Christmas of 1881, yet the Ashland tragedy remains etched in the annals of the town's history. It stands as a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the shadows that can lurk behind the veil of normalcy. As we look back upon the Ashland tragedy, we are reminded of the depths of human cruelty and the enduring strength of a community in mourning. It is a story that, though rooted in the past, continues to whisper a somber lesson to those who listen.